What is going on YouTube? Hey, I'm back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as XRP to US dollar. We're also going to be looking at DueDEX as well as the current coin market cap. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who is supporting the channel. It just broke 15.5K subscribers on the channel, as well as we just broke 100 patrons on Patreon. Absolutely crazy milestones we are just blasting through, guys. There's going to be some crazy stuff happening to the channel very soon. Definitely going to be another giveaway in the future, but to jump back into today's video, we are going to be looking at some very interesting movements within the market. As we know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, even Litecoin are starting to hit a bit of resistance on the upside, and it looks like we are probably going to start to see some more correction to the downside. I do want to explain a little bit more in depth in today's video as to exactly what I do have in mind. Otherwise, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up. This helps out the YouTube algorithm, and remember to follow me on Twitter at CryptoVOfficial. This way, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can literally just DM me over there. We'll get your questions answered. If you want to talk, just spark a conversation, post something interesting, you can just do it on Twitter. Otherwise, let's jump into today's episode. Alright guys, so we are on the channel. Yesterday's video, we discussed that there's about 3 days left before we see XRP, Ripple, and Bitcoin start to break to the downside. I mean, this thumbnail pretty much sums up itself. We have clearly another test of resistance here. I think that's what I'm actually going to do, is draw a better chart in the thumbnail for today's episode, probably what you're already seeing, in reference to the fact that we've had these resistances, and each time we've seen a correction to the downside, there's a very good chance we're going to see that same thing happen right now. Now, obviously, we were looking at that on the weekly side of things, but ultimately, it's probably going to continue doing that same thing. Now, as you guys can see, top 10 cryptos are on the board. Everything is kind of doing okay. Very surprising. Everything's no more up than 1%, maybe 0.5 to 0.8% all in all. We did take that dip that we were talking about. We discussed shorting it. I told everybody on Patreon what exactly we were doing, and those shorts are still in play. I did not cancel those shorts. That is a short that I just started because I feel like the time is right. My specific trades, as well as if you are considering buying back in, buying long, shorting, that is all on my Patreon as well if you want to check out. I did link that in the description. Now, moving on to the other cryptos. So here's the thing. XRP recently dropped back then, fell to pretty much the price we were anticipating. I still kept my short in, but this could have been a better short, sell off right at 18 cents. I don't really think it's a big deal because I know we're going to head back down there and probably lower. Clearly, the reason we dipped was because we retested the middle moving average as well as the downtrend. We fell all the way down to 18 cents, wicked back up, and now we're continuing to consolidate. As we know, the closer we get to the downtrend, the more resistance there is and the better chances of a correction. Same thing applies. We're all of today's the 24th and the 27th, we're seeing maybe a retest of that downtrend. That's about 3 days, 4, 5, 6, 7, 3 days left before we probably correct back down once again at 18 cents. There's a very good chance on XRP specifically, we're going to funnel into this right here. That's what it seems like it's doing. It looks like it wants to do this before we tank. Ultimately, I do think we're going to be breaking bearish. That's what it looks like the rest of the market has in store for XRP, and I love you guys' comments. They're absolutely hysterical. So that's why I started with XRP first instead of some of the other cryptos, because I know a lot of people come onto here just to specifically watch XRP. A lot of others come to watch Bitcoin. The only reason, as you guys should know, and if you're new to the channel should know, I talk a lot more about Bitcoin because Bitcoin is what we can short on DueDEX, and obviously DueDEX is my #1 shorting website. It's so easy to use, and it's the one I recommend. But I do think that in the near future they are going to be adding some other cryptos to this, probably XRP as well, but I'll update you guys when that comes. I know Ethereum is in the air to come. I think they posted something on their Twitter. But so moving on from XRP, because I do believe the short is coming for this. Let's look at Bitcoin now. As we know, Bitcoin has hit the top. I've discussed this over and over and over again. The reason I put my short in is because we're at the freaking top. I don't know how much more I need to explain myself as to why I put the short in. Now, we know that I make videos every single day. So when you add that on to a market like this where each candle represents 1 week, Yeah, there's going to be some overlap in my videos. I understand that, and it makes sense, and you should expect that if you plan on sticking around, because honestly, I could make a video once a week about each candle that forms, but that doesn't really make sense to me. So ultimately, what I am anticipating is we have obviously a correction from this resistance. This yellow, white band, as we know, every time we've retested it, tends to break bearish. Every single time breaks bearish. Good chance D to E is going to form, almost guaranteed. I bought in at the top for a change because I do anticipate a correction to the downside. I anticipate a pretty steep fall. For those of you interested, I can get you the price range pretty much, not really the length of time. It's going to be about a 40% drop. I don't want to spread FUD, but that's honestly what I'm anticipating. That's more of my, moderate trading. If you want a more conservative approach, I at least feel that we're probably going to pull back down to the weekly, which is going to be like maybe a 20% drop to a price of around $7,800. I do believe we're getting overextended. The fact that this, that the MACD is so, spread out ultimately tells me that there's a good chance we are going to correct to the downside. It's every time practically that we've retested this top resistance right here. We retested the resistance here. What did we do? We crossed bearish and we fell. Same thing applies. Let's slide over to the next time we retested. Boom. We were extremely, wide. We crossed over and fell bearish. Now, once again, same patterns happening. We are extremely wide. Good chance we're going to, as we are clearly seeing starting a bearish candle, going to correct lower and break bearish and see that bearish cross on the MACD as we start to get closer. Ultimately, I do believe we're headed down, though. I think we're kind of overbought. We've been in a bull market for quite some time now, ever since early to mid-March till the end or mid of May. There's a good chance we're going to see this consolidation, this pullback. It's honestly what I'm anticipating. If we do anything else, consolidate out of here, break bullish, I'm going to be absolutely mind blown that we decide to break against prior history. I'd be very shocked. It is possible, but very, very, very shocked. Now, moving on to its daily, you can see we are finally starting to see some more resistance. Obviously, we broke outside. Wow, I thought I had post notifications off on my computer. But obviously, we broke bearish from our resistance here, clearly shown on yesterday's video, but you can see it here again. We have teeter-tottered above here in the past. We're doing it again. But ultimately, we broke bearish. We fell lower. Now we're climbing up the uptrend, and you can see the uncertainty is starting to roll in, which ultimately leads to some greater moves. The uncertainty is coming. We are starting to get closer to the resistance. We're getting sandwiched in here. We're going to complete the gap, fill the gap, and then there's a good chance we're going to see that pop to the downside, probably pull us all the way down to, I think, $7,900 to $7,800 very quickly. Obviously, all my trades and everything is posted on my Patreon, every single thing. My leverage, my shorts, my market orders, my risk management, my stop losses, my buy longs, my leverage trades, everything is my Patreon. So if you guys want to help support the channel, huge shout out to everybody currently doing that. We have a community now of over 100 people. Mind blown. Definitely make sure to check out that Patreon. There is a link to that in the description, as well as DueDEX, because if you guys want to follow my trades, you're going to have to download DueDEX to use this in order to copy or reference what it is that I am doing. But ultimately, I do believe as we start to hit, and I do have a trade here. I do have a position open, and if you guys want to see what it is that I am doing, you're going to have to follow me on Patreon to see that position, because I'm not going to scroll down. But ultimately, you can see that there is a resistance down here. We are currently hitting this resistance, and we are starting to pull back lower. I am anticipating a bigger drop, and obviously I am no wimp, and I bought in at the top in anticipation for a massive correction to the downside. Ultimately, you have to use the short position. You have to use the short option on DueDEX, and in order to do that, you have to have DueDEX. So definitely make sure to check it out. It is a big position open, couple thousand, so definitely make sure to, pop on into the Patreon group that we have. Now, moving on to some other cryptos. Oh, that's the S&P 500. Looking great, to be honest. But moving on to some other cryptos, you can see finally Litecoin starting to see that consolidation. Looks great. Ethereum, same thing, starting to consolidate. Litecoin ultimately starting to flatline out. You can see back in the past, we've had a lot of bigger movements, but ultimately we're starting to slow down. And this is a great sign. The slowing down means that the uncertainty is coming. we have on the MACD. Let's get a better look. Very, very, very close to a retest of this middle moving average. Obviously, this is more of a bullish sign than bearish, but I do think we're going to reverse, retest, maybe tap this resistance like we did here, tap the cross, and then, separate once again as the market, starts to appear like that. But I do believe we are still in a bearish market. Obviously, that's kind of where my head's at. But that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video, guys. Once again, huge shout out for everybody supporting me on YouTube. 15.5K in the bag. We're heading to 16,000. Make sure to, also huge shout out to my Patreon supporters. 100 people, absolutely wild. I never thought we'd get there. But, otherwise follow me on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe. Follow me at CryptoVOfficial, and I will see you in tomorrow's video. Peace.